I could never be a stepfather.
Why?
I don't believe in that. Like, I think that I call him step baby daddy or step crash dummy. I could never in my right mind.
Step crash dummy?
Step crash dummy.
We are back, YouTube, with another amazing show. Today we're going to be talking about, is there any benefits for a man taking care of another man's child or raising another man's child? In my opinion, I don't think it's really a lot benefits for a man to do that. It'll be honorable for a man to do it, but in my opinion, I'm not really big on a man raising someone else's kid, especially if they have kids out there of their own. Because there are a lot of dudes who will definitely take care of somebody else's kids and don't even take care of their own. So we're going to be watching this video with Anton Daniels. He done a podcast. It's like a live type of podcast, and it was talking about different things with, raising your kids and how well you raising your kids and what you're doing with your kids and how you doing things. You may be doing things wrong or you may be doing things right. You just never know. And they come up with the question, is there any benefit for a man to raise another man's kid? And I wanted to watch this and go over it and talk to you guys about my feelings about that and what I believe. So we're going to get to this video. We're going to watch it. I'm going to give you my thoughts afterwards. And let's see what they're talking about. Let's go.
So today we are talking about the most ghetto hood of them all. Parenthood. The fact that everybody runs it. The fact that everybody runs it is hilarious. Let's get right into this. We all talk about generational curses and, things that we had to heal from our own childhoods, but we never really do the intro work to say, what type of things will our own children possibly have to heal from once they become adults and they look back on their childhood? Has anybody ever given any thoughts to something like that?
Always. I haven't thought of like what specific things, but I do know that I will need to say sorry. And then this is the reason. The reason is because no matter how great you think you are as a parent, no matter how much you think you're doing so well, there's always going to be something that your children said was toxic. If you're overbearing, they'll say that was toxic. If you didn't pay enough attention, they'll say that was toxic. So I'm just ready to say, I apologize and help heal whatever needs to be healed, because I think that's the problem with parenthood. We think we did everything right, or I tried, or I gave you everything. That doesn't mean that they didn't experience some type of trauma or had a bad experience with you. And so a lot of the times when children break away from their parents, it's because parents can't even say, I'm sorry, I hear you. Yeah. You were right. Like they act like it's going to kill them to just, show that humility. And I don't know, that's not going to be me.
Some parents don't think they made the mistakes that children think they made.
Baby,
Have you ever heard?
Girl, I made some mistakes now, okay? And I don't mind apologizing to my children,
right.
Okay?
I'm sorry.
But my oldest baby, I always say that, because I have one adopted, and then both of them the same age, 16. And my oldest baby, she saw me through life, okay? She saw me chasing after men. She saw me fighting. She saw me making bad decisions. And so when she got to that age to where she really started liking little boys, and I started to see that she could not fathom the idea of not having someone around her. Also, I think I prioritized too much time on the work that I was doing, but it was really because I was in hard spaces in my life. And of course, children don't understand that. So I used to make this excuse, well, I'm giving you quality time because I'm around you, but it really wasn't. I was always working. My mom was always my head was on a phone. I was always on a laptop, and my children pretty much just playing with themselves. I took a lot of things from my kids, and now watching my daughter, both of my daughters as a teenager, I'm helping one through her healing from her mom. So watching both of them, I feel like I've been absent in spaces where I should have been a lot more present, and just seeing how my daughter can't be alone. And so we're really trying to work with that. Yeah. We're help her work through that, and then truly loving herself, because in society nowadays, I don't think I poured enough. I poured love into my kids, but I don't think I poured enough of that, that talk that parents need to give. You don't have to be somebody else. I don't think I did that early on like I should have. I did that years later. And so now I'm seeing my daughter in this survival state, just from being a teenager, just from being out in society, being around her own generation. And I beat myself up about that a lot. But
I understand where she's coming from. On the cool, like, honestly, when you talk about your relationship with your kids, you have to talk to your kids. You have to have conversation with them. I mean, those hard conversations that you may have to have with them. You have to find out how they're thinking, how they tick, how they see the world. Because you try to shape them to the way that you want them to be, but the world is going to shape them also. So you have to give your influence to that child. You have to talk to them. You have to be able to communicate. You have to show your kids how to communicate with others. A lot of times when you were growing up back in the day, parents wanted you to just do things like, oh, I told you to do it. Don't do what I say. I mean, don't do what I do what I say type of mentality, when we all make mistakes. And it's okay for us to admit those mistakes and to tell our kids that we're not perfect also. We're learning. I mean, we're raising this child, and we never had any experience in raising anybody. Like, raising a child is so different than having a pet or something like that, because raising a child, they have their own personalities. They react however they feel like they want to react. They take on characteristics of their environment. So you got to make sure that you put your kids in the right environment so they can have a good shot at being a good person in society. Not saying that we're going to always do everything right, but at the same time, you have to let them understand that they're going to make mistakes just like you make mistakes, but you don't have to live in that mistake. You can get better from that. You can learn from that. Don't let that mistake happen to you twice. Try to figure out, why did you make that mistake? Because you have to see that there was an issue before you can make a change to it. So that's my opinion on that. Let's get back to the video.
Me and my daughters, we have talks. I let my kids speak up and express how they feel. So we'll sit down and they'll tell me, yeah, mama, I don't like when you do this. Okay, cool. Let me change it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so, but it definitely was a hard pill to swallow, especially when you have to listen to your kids cry to you about you.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I have gotten to the point where, actually, yeah, I have gotten to that point. Dominic, my 14-year-old, he's a very non-confrontational person.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all know when I'm speaking, like, I can get, like, we can go there a little bit. Like, all right, so let's talk. You feel me?
Yeah.
And he was texting his mom some stuff, but kind of trying to play both sides.
Yeah.
And I had to let her know, like, he's trying to play in your face right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the energy that I had to give him was revved up East Warren Randy.
Mm-hmm.
I had to give him that a little bit. And I had to realize that he can't handle that.
Mm-hmm.
I am a hood girl raising suburban babies.
Mm-hmm.
They can't handle the aggressive talk and things like that. And I had to, it really took, honestly, it took me realizing that Dominic is a young man.
Mm-hmm.
He's 14 years old. How I handle him now is how he's going to expect women to handle him in the future.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So if I talk to him aggressive, if I'm, in his face like this or whatever, he's going to expect, or he's going to normalize that, or think that that's how women are supposed to handle him, especially if he's seeing that in both households.
Right.
So I've had to take a step back and ask myself, how do I want to show up for him? What type of parent do I want to be?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is, I had to learn that he has to fall sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot be the parent that's just constantly just being a safety net. And that to me is the scariest shit in the world, because it's like, why do you have to scrape up your knee if I can just, leave the training wheels?
Oh, I'm the opposite. I push the nigga right off. This is like, because I want you, and that just comes from my military background though, because it's like, you need to know I'm not gonna I can't coddle you through. I can be there for you, and I can be your backbone, but I'm not gonna coddle you, because no one's gonna love you like I do. Yeah. When you step outside this house, you about to see just how much they don't love you out here.
Yeah.
But you treat your daughters differently than your sons, though, right?
I don't have a daughter. I mean, I have a bonus daughter, but no.
I did at one time. I can honestly say I did. At one time, I definitely did. I was a lot harder on my girls than my boy, and man, I did coddle him. And my husband,
you coddled the boy?
Yeah, I did. And when my husband came in, because not to discredit my son's dad, but I wish he was a lot more active than what he was. But when my husband came in, he was like, no, he said, this is not going to work for this little boy. And I couldn't fight that, because it's like, I ain't never lived in the shoes of a man.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to. So there's certain things that bonus dad are going to have to deal with. And absolutely. I sit back and I let it happen. And I just had to realize I was being a lot unfair. Like, I was putting a lot of responsibilities on my girls for certain things. And it's like, why are you not putting these same responsibilities on your son?
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, I know it's certain things that girls would probably do better, but it was definitely a difference that I had for sure.
I could never be a stepfather.
Why?
I don't believe that. Like, I believe I think that I call him step baby daddy or step crash dummy. I could never in my right mind.
Step crash dummies?
Step crash dummies.
Why don't you believe in stepfathers?
Because he's always going to yearn to understand who he truly is from the person that he was born from.
No, you're 100%
Yeah,
accurate
I
in
agree.
that.
And so
Yeah.
I don't see the benefit that a guy gets out of raising another man's child.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
It's no benefit.
That's-
it's a
you know
zero
what?
sum statement.
would say there's no
As much as I want to dislike that statement, I will
It's a
say
zero.
that often,
It's a zero benefit.
often to some people,
Unless you just
often-
want to feel good about yourself.
often step parenting can be a rewardless job. But when you accept what your role is in it versus trying to be someone's everything,
Mhm.
for me, it's been a bit different. And I will go as far as saying too, we have been able to establish our own relationship. I don't want to be your mama. I'm not your mama.
I don't
I'm
wanna
a
be your
mother
mama.
figure to you. You have a mama. I don't need you to look at me and say, "Oh, mom, A, B, C, and D." No. You have a biological mother that you have access to for that. I'm here to be a pillar in
Well,
your
but
village
it's
and to help.
different. I can't speak to it from a woman's perspective.
Yeah.
I think it's the same.
And no,
Oh,
let me
no.
let
I
me tell you.
disagree.
I definitely agree and disagree with it. I agree with it for a certain kind of man, a certain kind of traditional alpha man. It is not going to be able to do anything. And I don't say alpha man to try to say beta is different and sigma is
No,
bad and all that. I'm
I'm
not
with
saying
you.
that. But what I am saying is that a certain mindset, a certain man that wants to run everything, is going to be difficult having two lions in the family. Because a man like Anton is going to show up as the man. I'm doing this. I'm handling this. This is my village.
I don't agree with that. What I will say, yeah, there's no benefit in a man taking care of raising another man's child unless he came a part of that life when the child was just born. At that point, he's there with the child when they was little, and he kind of can raise that child if him and the mother can get along, can really want to work on their situation, have kids together. But I don't think it's something that you should set out to do. It could be rewarding if you always wanted kids and you had a point in your life that you can't have kids and stuff like that. But I just don't, I don't think it benefits you because your legacy is not being left behind. You're not leaving anything because that child always going to yearn to know their real father. That child's going to always look at you as like maybe not being the father figure that he would have wanted to have. Even though you can do everything in your power to, be a part of that child's life. Sometimes you get situations where people do look at that situation like that and was proud that a man came in and took care of the kids, but at the same time, there's so many situations you get into a relationship with someone that has kids. Especially it just depends on who you choose as a woman and the type of child she has. It's like how she's raising her child. Because you can get in a situation with a person and they have a kid and all y'all do is argue and stuff, but you like the kid, you're around the kid, you're doing for the kid, and then y'all break up and now you don't have access to that child anymore. That could be devastating for a man too, because you putting your all into this child, your finances, your time. You're gonna have to go pick them up from school because you gotta help out the woman. This is your woman and she can't do everything herself. So you're gonna be trying to chip in and do different things. And you're feeding this kid, and then at some point it's not happening anymore. It's just over. I just wouldn't want to put in that much energy for somebody that I don't have access to anytime I want to have access to. Like my kids, I see my kids all the time. I do for my kids. I'm there for my kids. I talk to my kids. I have conversations with them. I have a really close relationship with them, even though I don't live in a home. I think that means a lot to my kids because anybody that came into that household, they never really respected. But it was also the type of men that she brings in that household. So that makes a big difference too. So me personally, I don't think there's any reason for a single man to deal with a situation where a woman has a child. If he does have a child, you got to look at it a little bit different. How do y'all mesh? What is y'all parenting skills? How do y'all see situations? It's a tough thing to think about. I'd rather just raise my kids by myself and let somebody else do what they need to do with their situation, and then when the kids are grown, we make something happen. But I don't need anybody around to try to be a mother to my kids, anything like that. But that's it. That's my thoughts. That's my show. If you like the show, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you thought about this show, what you think about what I said. If you got any comments, leave your comments. I will respond. And you know what time it is? Your boy got to get out of here. Peace.